Ok, so vamos a intentar hacerlo. Los problemas, pero um, el número uno. A ver, está grabando primero. Yeah. Okay. So, primero tenemos que restar aquí, ¿no? So, si ustedes quieren, escríbanlo. Perdón, escríbanlo así. 7 sobre 10 menos 1 sobre 5 dividido por negativo 5 sobre 10. Si lo quieren, escriban así. Entonces tenemos que, we have to subtract first and then divide. So here, find the common denominator, which is 10. Which is 10. And then put in parentheses, so that's already a 10, so that stays. And this one is times 2, right? 5 times 2 is 10, so here it's times 2, so that gives me 2. 7 minus 2 is 5, and 10 over 10 is 10, right? So 10 and 10 is 10, so that's that. And then divide by negative 5 over 10. And this part, right, comes down. Now it's 5 over 10. We're going to multiply it, and we're going to multiply it by the reciprocal, which is negative 10 over 5. You can simplify or you can multiply, so it's a positive times a negative, which is a negative. And then 5 and negative 10 is negative 50. Oops. 50. And then 10 times 5 at the bottom is 50. And if you think about it, what's 50 divided by 50? It's 1. Pero negative 1. Over here, same thing. We have a lot of things. So let's do this part over here. It's negative 1 over 8 divided, right? Pero, so I'm going to divide by negative 4. I'm going to put this over 1. So it's negative 1 over 8 times 1 over negative 4. Can we simplify? No, now nothing on top and nothing on the bottom, we can simplify. But a negative and a negative is a positive. So 1 times 1 is 1. And 8 times 4 is 32. So this, I'm going to change over here, becomes 1 over 32. Now I'm going to do this part over here, which is 1/4 minus 1/2. We need to find a common denominator, which is going to be 4. And this is going to be 4. So this is no change, right? It's the same. How did a 2 become a 4? Times 2. And a top times 2. So 1 times 2 is 2. Now we subtract. We can, right? It's a subtraction process. We can do keep that one, change this to addition, and this becomes negative 2/4. So if you think about it, who's going to win? The negatives are going to win. So it's here it's a 4, right? So negative 2 is going to win because there's more, so it's negative 1. So this part right here is negative 1 over 4. And then we're going to divide that by negative 1 over 4. So I change this to that. So now our new problem looks like that. So let me write this. So it's going to be 1 over 32 divided by negative 1 over 4. And then we're going to divide that by negative 1 over 4 again, right? Because it's this divided by this and then divided by this. So let's do this part first. 1 over 32 times negative, and then the reciprocal is 4 over 1. So 1 over 3 and negative, what do you call negative 4 over 1? You can simplify if you like. So this, if you like to, you can divide this. 4 divided by 4 is 1. And 32 divided by 4 is 8. Now I can multiply positive times a negative is a negative. 1 times 1 is 1. And 8 times 1 is 8. So this whole thing is negative 1 over 8. So now I have finally in this, I'm going to have negative 1 over 8. And then I have to do this part, right? Divided by negative 1 over 4. Negative 1 over 8 times 4 over negative 1. Right? And a negative times a negative is a positive. 1 times 4 is 4. And 8 times 1 is 8. You can simplify, right? You can divide 4 divided by 2. And 8 divided by 2. Sorry, not by 2, by 4. Right? Reducir. 4 divided by 4 and 8 divided by 4. So 4 divided by 4 is 1. 8 divided by 4 is 2. So the final answer is that. Next, you have these two. So we have let's change that to an improper fraction. So 7. 5 times 7 is 35 plus 2 is negative 37 over 5 plus 2 times 2 is 4 plus 1 is 5, so it's 5 over 2. Bit on negative, right? This is negative and this is negative. Let's find a common denominator. It's going to be 10, right? So how did the 5 become a 7 times 2? So I keep times 2. 37 times 2 is negative 74. And over here is times 5, right? 2 times 5 is 10, and on top is times 5. 5 times 5 is 25, but negative 25. So amigos, they're friends, right? So it's going to be 10 over here, and negative. And 74 plus 25 is 99. So negative 99 over 10. That's my answer. Same thing over here. I'm going to change this to a decimal. Okay, so it's going to be negative 2, and 3 over 10 is 0.3. So it's going to be point, right? 2.3, because the 2 is going to go in there. Negative 2, so negative 2.3 minus negative 0.9. Let's change this to addition. 2.3 plus 0.9. So who's going to win here? The negatives, right? So it's going to be a negative answer. So let's subtract. 13 minus 9 is 4. 1 minus 0 is 1. So it's going to be negative 1.4. Now over here, let's change that to a ratio of 2 integers. So again, we're going to put that x equals 0.8. We're going to multiply this by 10. Multiply this by 10. So you're going to get 10x. 10 times x is 10x. And 0.8 times 10 is going to be 8 point, our notation like that. Subtract 10x minus x is 9x. This is 0, right? And 8 minus 0 is 8. Divide by 9. Divide by 9. X equals 8 over 9. Over here, we're going to write x equals 3.27 bar notation. I'll multiply this by 100. Multiply this by 100. So we're going to get 100x. Over here, if I multiply with, well, 3.272727 forever and ever, if I multiply by 100, the decimal goes 1, 2. Right? So this becomes 327.27 notation. We can subtract 100 minus x is 99x. These two become 0, and 327 minus 3 is 324. 324. And divide by 99. Divide by 99. X equals, just cross out, 324 over 99. Change to decimal. So we have 42 over 15. So we're going to do 42. Remember, 42 goes inside. Divide by 15. 15 goes in 42 2 times, which is 30. Minus. And it's going to be 2 and 12. Now I'm going to add a decimal. I'm going to bring a 0 down. 15 goes into 120 8 times. 8 times 5 is 40, goes 4. 8 times 1 is 8, 12. So that one actually was super easy, so it's 2.8. 6 divided by 7. 7 does not go into 6, so we put a 0, put a decimal. 7 goes 68 times, which is 56. 4 left over, right? 60 minus 56 is 4. Bring another 0 down. 7 goes into 45 times, which is 35. We're going to have a 5 left over, right? So subtract. 10 minus 5 is 5. Bring another 0 down. 10 goes into 57 times, which is 49. We're going to have 1 left over. Bring a 0 down. Oh, this seems like it's going to go forever. 7 goes into 10 one time, which is 7. And then I'm going to have 3 left over. I'm just going to keep going for a little bit more. And 7 goes to 30 2 times. Oh my God. 7 goes to 30. No, 5 times. 6 times. 4 times, sorry. 4 times, which is 28. You're going to have a 2 left over. And 7 goes into 26 times, 2 times. Okay, another 0 down, sorry. 7 goes to 22 times, which is 14. And you're going to have 6 left over. If you have 6 left over, you're going to start all the way from the beginning. And 7 goes into 60 8 times. So again, now it's going to be 8, 5, 7, 1, 4, 2. And that's going to repeat. So the bar notation goes like this. 0.857, 1, 4, 2. Bar notation. So here it's just multiply, divide, right? So the first thing you should do is change this to an improper, right? Times and a plus. 3 times 3 is 9, plus 2 is 11 over 4. Times 5 times 1 is 5, plus 4 is 9 over 5, bit of negative. Can I simplify anything? It doesn't look like it. So it's going to be 11 times, well, positive times negative is going to be negative. 11 times 9 is 99. And 4 times 5 is 20. This one is 1 over 7 times, and again, times and plus. 8 times 2 is 16, plus 3 is 19 over 8. Nothing to simplify. 8 times 7 is 56. 1 times 19 is 19. That's pretty easy. Okay, so division, but first you change it to an improper fraction. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 3 is 11 over 4, divided by 5 over 12. Let's change. Nothing to simplify, so 11 times 5 is 55. 4 times 12 is 48. Times and plus, 2 times 7 is 14, plus 2 is 16 over 2, bit of negative, divided by 8 times 1 is 8, 12 over 8, negative. Let's keep this one. Let's change, and then let's use the reciprocal, bit of negative. You can simplify here, right? You can simplify. 2 divided by 2 is 1, 8 divided by 2 is 4. I can divide this by 4. 4 divided by 12 divided by 4 is 3. And 16 divided by 4 is 4. Now I can just multiply. Negative times a negative is a positive. 4 times 4 is 16. 1 times 3 is 3. Now here, the idea is for you to work and make your problems easier. So, negative 1 over 5, if you look at your notes, can change to 0.2. So 0.7. Negative a half becomes negative 0.5 plus 0.5. Much easier to do this, right? So let's look at this. Negative plus a positive, who's going to win? The positive, right? So if you do 0.7 minus 0.2, it's going to be 0.5. So this is going to be 0.5 positive. Minus 0.5. So let's do this part right now. What's 0.5 minus 0.5? This is 0. And if I do 0 plus this part now, 0 plus 0.5 is just 0.5. So that was easy. 1.4 minus 7 over 10 is 0.7, right? Plus negative 1.2 over 4 is 0.5, so it's going to be 1.5. Then minus 0.6. So let's do these two first. 1.4 minus 0.7, 1 point. So let me erase some of this stuff here. So 1.4 minus 0.7 is 0.7, right? So 0.7 positive. Now I'm going to add plus negative 1.5. 0.7 plus negative 1.5. The negative is going to win, so it's going to be a negative answer. So 1.5 minus 0.7. It's going to be 0.8. And then we have 0.8 minus 0.6. Keep. Change the subtraction to addition. And we're going to change that to a negative. So it's a negative plus a negative, so amigos, they're friends, so it's a negative. And 0.8 plus 0.6 is 1.4. Final answer. So, division, let's change this. 8 over 25 divided by 4 over 10, right? Now you can do 8 over 25 times 10 over 4. You can simplify here, right? 8 and 4. 4 divided by 4, 1. 8 divided by 4, 2. 10 and 5 divided by 5. 10 divided by 5 is 2. 25 divided by 5 is 5. Now we have 2 times 2, which is 4. At the bottom, 5 times 1, which is 5. Same thing here. 5 over 12 divided by, remember this is in the hundreds, right? So it's going to be 25 over 100. 5 over 12 times 100 over 25. Can we simplify? Yes. Let's simplify the big numbers. I want to divide 100 and 25. So 125, I'm going to divide by 25. 25 divided by 25 is 1. 100 divided by 25 is 4. Right? And then we can do 4 and 12. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 12 divided by 4 is 3. 5 times 1 is 5. 3 times 1 is 3. Yeah, and then the last two problems here. I think I have time to finish this. And it's going to be, so let's change this. Negative 2.4 plus 1.5 inside. Divide by 0.5. Good question. So you could have done that. Let's keep it to a fraction. You know what? Let's do this. 0.5. So negative 2.4 plus 1.5. Those negatives are going to win. So it's going to be a negative answer. So 2.4, 1.5. Borrow. 14 minus 5. So it's going to be 0.9. I'm going to get 0.9 negative divided by 0.5 negative. So 0.9 is 9 over 10, right? Negative. Divide by 0.5, which is 5 over 10. Negative. Keep. Change it to division multiplication, and then negative 10 over 5. Negative times a negative is a positive. 10 divided by 10 is 1. 10 divided by 10 is 1. So on top I have 9 times 1, which is 9, and at the bottom 1 times 5, which is 5. Final answer. Over here, I'm going to change this. 3 times 4 is 12, plus 1 says 13 over 3 negative, plus 2 over 5. Let's do that first. LCM is 15, right? This one's times 5, so times 5 on top, which is 65 negative. 5 times what's 15 is times 3, so times 3, which is 6. So it's going to be 15, right? But negative. And negative 65 plus 6. Who's going to win? This guy's going to win. Why? There's more. So if I subtract, 15 minus 6 is 9. And then it's going to be negative 59. Oops. Negative 59. Now I'm going to do negative 59 over 15 divided by 1.1. Let's change this to a fraction. So it's going to be negative 55 over 15 divided by 11 over 10. Right? Remember, this is in the 10th place value. So it's negative 59 over 15 times 10 over 11. I can simplify, right? I can do 15 and 10. 10 divided by 5 is 2. 15 divided by 5 is 3. 3 times 11, at the bottom, is going to be 33. And 59 times 2 is 108, but negative. Okay? 2 more problems. So I would first change this to a no, I won't. Yeah, I will change it. 0.32. I'm going to use decimals. Plus negative 2. And what's 7 over 10? 7 over 10 is 0.7. So I'm going to make this 2.7. We're adding, so amigos, right? They're friends, so it's going to be negative. And 2.7 plus 0.32. Put a 0 over here, so it's 2. 7 plus 3 is 10. Carry 1. So it's going to be negative 3.02. Point right here. Simple. Same thing here. Negative 3.45 minus 2. And what's 3 over 10? 3 over 10 is 0.3. So it's going to be 2.3. Keep. Change to addition. And this becomes negative 2.3. They're friends, so it's going to be negative. So 3.45 and 2.3. Let's put a 0 here. 5, 7, 5. Negative 5.75. Okay, well, that's it.